Hey everybody, sorry about that. I didn't realize the stream was already up. It's Jesse, and if you haven't watched before, this show is just about me doing my work. I'm a front end developer, and I want to show my normal work, and you'll see all my mistakes and everything, and just get an idea for what it's like for a front end developer to work, at least for me. Today we have a very ambitious plan. We're going to set up from scratch a DigitalOcean droplet, a server, to be able to run React. I'm almost positive there's no way I can get this done in a half an hour. So, hey guys, everybody's saying hi in the live chat. So I have two options. Either I split this up and do it over 2 days, so today and tomorrow, or I can just try to do an extra long video today and try to get it all done. So I think it'll probably depend on how many people are watching at the end of a half an hour. If there's a lot of viewers, maybe I'll just keep going. If it's kind of dropping off, then we'll see. Maybe I'll split it up into 2 videos. But either way, I need to have it done because I'd like to have something up and running to show the people that I'm making the site for, to show them what's going on, and to test it working with the API where all the content is going to come from. Okay, so we have opposing viewpoints in the live chat. Someone's saying split it up into 2 videos. Someone's saying make it work today. All right, we'll see. I'll think about it. We'll see how far we get. If we're close, to being done, then maybe we'll go a little bit longer. But if I think it's going to take like an extra hour, then maybe I'll split it up. So I haven't set up a server in this way in probably maybe like 3 months. So we'll see. I'll be a little rusty. So before we start, real quick, this site that I'm working on now is probably going to launch May 25th is the official launch date now, unless that changes. After that, I'm going to start doing tutorial videos on my channel. The link is in the description. I'll do all the live streams still on freeCodeCamp, and then I'll just throw the tutorial videos on my own channel. I had a lot of suggestions for different things to do tutorials on, so I'm keeping a list of everything that you all suggest in the live chat or in the comments, and I'd like to do some short, very focused videos on each one of those topics. Alright, the rest of the week, in case you haven't seen this yet, I've showed it the last couple of videos. Tomorrow is also a different time than normal. It's going to be 11:30 a.m. Sorry about the time change. This is just because I have so many meetings today and tomorrow. Wednesday, I will be traveling to a conference, to SyntaxCon, so I don't know if I'll be able to live stream or when. So I'll just put it on Twitter when I'm going to live stream, and I think you'll get an alert if you're subscribed to freeCodeCamp. If you want to get the tweet as well, then follow me on Twitter. The link to my Twitter account is also in the description. And then Thursday and Friday, I'll be at SyntaxCon. I did get permission from the people at SyntaxCon to record and live stream as long as the speakers are cool with it. So I have some ideas for what to do, but I want to know what you want to see. Okay, so I'm going to this SyntaxCon. They're going to have front-end stuff, back-end stuff, and some talks on different platforms. So let me know. I was thinking maybe I could do interviews with some of the speakers or even some of the other people there. Maybe I could just do quick recaps of the sessions that I go to and just show some of the highlights. So I'm not really sure what you want to see, what would be, realistic to do. I'm also not really sure how good the Wi-Fi is going to be, so they might be pre-recorded videos instead of live streams. But let me know in the live chat or in the comments what you would like to see. As long as you comment before Thursday morning, then I'll be able to read it and hopefully do whatever you guys want me to do, whatever you want to see. Alright, so let's get started since we have a lot to do. I'm going to be neglecting the live chat slightly more than usual today because there's so much to do and I don't want to miss a step because it could mess things up. Alright, cool. Somebody said just start, bro. Alright, so I want to start this from scratch. So I did the very first step beforehand. I'll just show you what that was. I logged on to DigitalOcean. I already have an account on DigitalOcean. I just went in, I clicked Create Droplet, and I came to this screen. We're selecting Ubuntu 16.04. We've chosen the $5 a month droplet. We can always scale this up later if we get a lot of traffic, but for now this should work. And then you can pick New York data centers are closest to my location, so that's what I pick. I've added the IPv6 networking. I forgot to click the monitoring, which I should have. You can always add it in later, but it's a little bit harder. So I would recommend just clicking the monitoring. I didn't need any of this other stuff for right now. I already have my SSH keys added in here, and these are some of the SSH keys for my colleagues. So if you don't have these added in, you can add them in later on after you've created the droplet, and then you just give it a name and you click create, and it's as easy as that, and then you have your droplet up and running. So this is my droplet now, so I can get my IP address and log into the droplet. The first step to log in is simply to put in your terminal SSH and then root at, and then you put in your IP address. Okay, assuming that you had your SSH keys set up already, then it logs you in and you're good to go. I'm not going to go over the SSH key thing since I already had them set up, but I definitely recommend using it. I'll probably do a video on it at some point because it's pretty important. You'll use it a lot, but it saves you from having to have passwords. In fact, we're going to completely disable passwords on the server and just have have the SSH keys, and it'll just make it a little bit more secure since there'll be no way to log in with a password. So if you want to follow along, I always use the instructions on DigitalOcean to set this up when I go through. It doesn't matter how many times I do it. If you miss a step, then things might not work right, or it might be bad for security, so I always just follow along. A lot of the steps I remember and I can do pretty quickly, but I don't want to trust that to memory. I have the links in the description. First, we're going to install, we're going to set up Ubuntu. It's already installed. And then we're going to move on to Nginx. And then we'll see how far we can go. Maybe we'll get to Node after that. But the first two tutorials are linked in the description. Alright, so I am now on step 2 if you want to follow along. And we're going to create a user because we don't want to log in as root all the time. So we actually are pretty much never going to use root again after we create this other user. So I'm just going to go add user. Oops. Sometimes I'm going to type them out. Sometimes I'm just going to copy and paste them. I don't think there's anything wrong with copying and pasting things into the terminal because, one mistake and the command doesn't work. So for longer commands, copying and pasting is the way to go. And I'm just going to make the user Jesse. It can be anything. It's going to ask you for a password. This is not the login password. It's going to ask you for some of your info. You don't really need to fill this out. If you're in kind of a bigger organization, maybe you might want to fill this out so people know who you are. It's primarily going to be me logging in and working on this, so it doesn't really matter. I'll just put my name. Okay, so now that user is set up. And we need to give that user root privileges. Okay, so that password that we just typed in, that's not your login password. Remember, there will be no login password. It's just going to be SSH keys to get in. This password is going to be what you use when you try to use sudo, which means basically this user called Jesse is going to have privileges to do things that only root can normally do. I'll need to run the command sudo to be able to do those things as if I were the root user, and I'm going to need that password. So if anybody were to ever somehow get on my machine so they had my SSH key and be able to log in as Jesse, as me, they would still need to know my password to actually do anything as the root user. And generally, root commands are, they could mess up your whole server. You can do anything as root. So it's an added layer of security. It's slightly annoying to have to retype your password, but it's definitely better to have that little bit of security. I don't recommend having no password for that. I've never tried to do that, but I assume it's possible. Okay, so now we're going to give the privileges. I'm going to copy and paste this. So the example name they're using in the DigitalOcean instructions is Sammy. So I just need to change Sammy to Jesse. Okay, and now that user has sudo privileges. If you're following along with me, we're going to skip step 4 because I've already done this earlier. So if you haven't set up your SSH keys, then you will need to do step 4. If you are using DigitalOcean, I recommend set those up so that you can use them in the actual creation of the droplet, and it'll save you some time. So we're skipping all the way to step 5, and this is optional but recommended. We're going to disable password authentication. So I don't want anybody to be able to use a password to log into the server. So what I'm going to do before that is I'm actually going to log out of the root user. Let's see. I think exit. There we go. So I just typed exit. That logs me out. And now I'm going to SSH back in, but I'm going to change from root to Jesse. Ooh. And it denied my public key. No. I guess I skipped a step. This is the point of doing this live, so you see when I mess up, and hopefully you don't feel bad when you mess up because I've already done it. I'm going to scroll up quickly and see what I missed. Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure I need to add my public key to a file in the root directory for that user. So good thing I didn't disable the root yet, which we will do, but because I need to get back in there. So what I'm going to do is, as the root user, I'm going to switch to Jesse. So I've actually went from root, and now it's as if I am this user. Briefly, I'll be this user. Now I'm automatically in the home directory for this user. So we can see the directory we're in. So home, Jesse. And we're going to make a directory for our SSH key. So we've just made this directory, and now we're going to change the privileges for that directory. That's what what this command does, and we'll change it back to put that, kind of lock that down after we first put that in. Okay, so we use Nano. So we're going to use Nano. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Nano, it's just an editor that you can use in a terminal. Some people prefer Vim. That's a little bit more complicated. I'm not really good with it. Maybe one day I'll take some more time to practice. But Nano is the simplest editor. So if you're new, use Nano. It's pretty easy. Okay, so what I need to do now is to insert my public key. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, now I have to actually go to my public key. So just take me a second, find my public key. Actually, let's see. Sorry for the delay. I'm doing this on my other monitor just so that I don't accidentally show the world something that they shouldn't see in terms of passwords or anything like that. So as soon as I get this, I will switch back over and start running some commands again. Alright. Okay. Alright, so what I've done off screen is I went through the command line. I went to my SSH folder for my local user on my machine, and I found the public key file, and I just copied and pasted that public key into this folder here. When you're done with Nano, the way you exit out is I just press Control X, and it'll ask me if I want to save. I type Y, I hit enter, it asks me what file name I want. I obviously wanted to keep the same name, so I hit enter. So in case you haven't used Nano, it's pretty easy. Now, what we tried to do a minute ago should work. Alright, I just glanced at the live chat. So I'm going to answer this question real quick because I think it's important. Someone says, is this the work of a front-end developer? Technically, no. I guess like you might consider this like DevOps stuff. I mean, correct me if that's not really the right term, but what will happen is if you're a freelancer, you'll probably have to do this stuff. If you are working in a small team at a company somewhere, you'll probably have to do this stuff. If there's no other person dedicated to this kind of thing, you will have to do it at some point if you ever want your site to be live on a real server somewhere. You'll have to do something like this. So it's good to know. Not exactly front-end developer work, but it's something that you probably should learn how to do because you may need to do it. All right, so now let's attempt to do what we did before, and that is let's exit. And we need to exit twice, remember, because we went into the user account with the name of Jesse from root. So now we're back in root, and we want to get all the way out to my local machine. Now I'm in my local machine, and I'm going to type Jesse. If you're wondering, no. Oh no, this is an epic fail, guys. I know exactly what I did. I skipped a step. Sorry, guys. Not a great day today. I'm much better in the afternoons. If you've watched my other streams, they're usually in the afternoons. Alright, so remember we kind of relaxed the permissions on this file, and we never restricted them. I'm guessing that may have something to do with the reason why this isn't working. So we're going to go back into that user, and I'm going to check and make sure, okay, we do have that directory, so that's there. Okay, we do have the authorized keys. I'm just going to double check to make sure that the key is there. That's why I'm going to move off the screen briefly. Not that anybody could probably use my public key because they won't have the private key, but just in case there's some way I don't know about to do something bad with that key, I'm doing it off screen. Okay, I'm checking this file out right now. I have the key. Okay, so all that seems right. And so now I'm just going to reset this back to what it should be. And we're going to type exit. Okay. And I'm actually going to copy this. Let's see. I'm going to copy this and just try it over here so I don't have to log out again in case it doesn't work. It's not working again. Anybody out there? Do you see what I'm missing? This is the first time this has ever happened to me. I've set up servers like this several times in the past 6 months or so, and I've never had this happen. So, what we can do, that I don't normally do, is I can just continue on as the root user and do some of these things. And I will try to figure out what is wrong later on. I'm double checking my yeah, I'm just double checking the directions real quick. Yeah. Oh well, I didn't miss anything. Not sure what's happening. I suppose it's like some simple thing that I'm not seeing. So what we'll do is we'll continue as the root user and go as far as we can as the root user. And we're almost up to half an hour anyway, so I'd hope to be farther along, but this is a good example of how things really work sometimes. Sometimes you go to do something you've done before, and it's always worked before, and now it doesn't work, and you can't figure it out. So I'm sure anybody that's been a developer for any length of time has experienced something like this. So, somebody asked if it's free to try DigitalOcean. No, but you can usually find some DigitalOcean credit. So, yeah. All right, so somebody mentioned the GitHub Student Pack gives free credits. Just search online for a code to get free time on DigitalOcean. You'll find it. I think I found something that was like $25 free, but usually you can at least find $10 or $15 somewhere. I think I can give out a link that'll give you at least $10 But I mean, if you want me to send you the link, that's fine. Let me know. But I think you can find an even better one, like at least maybe 15 to 25 out there if you take the time to look. Okay, so the last thing that we at least can do is I can show you how to disable passwords on your server. Normally, you would do this. You can do this as a root user, but normally after I set up the other user, I never use root again and I disable root. But obviously, I can't do that right now since I can't get that other user working. So what I've done, let me. I've typed in, or I've copied and pasted in Nano. I've opened the SSHD underscore config file. So that's what we're in. This is our configuration file for SSH login, basically. And we're going to find the line that talks about password authentication. So let's see, where is it at? Did I pass it up? Probably. There we go. Okay, password authentication. Oh, it's actually defaulted to no. Probably because I don't know why it defaulted to no. I've done it before and it's been defaulted to yes. So we don't have to change that, but there are a few other things that we want to change. So since we want to do authentication just with the keys, we need to check. We'll just check these other things out. They may already be set. Sometimes when I've done this in the past, these actually have been set to different values. So maybe the defaults have changed. So we want to check public key authentication and make sure that that is set to yes. Sorry, I have the font so big I can't see the whole file, so I'm doing a lot of scrolling around. Let's make sure. There we go. Okay, public key authentication, we need it set to yes, and we want to set challenge response authentication to no, or at least make sure that it's set to no. Okay. There we go. Challenge response authentication, no. That's all we need. So let's get out of this by pressing Control X. If you haven't made any changes in Nano, when you hit Control X, it doesn't ask you to save the changes or anything. It'll take you right out. Okay, we didn't really change anything, but if we had, we would want to do this. I'll show you the command in a second. We want to reload the system if we had. So we'll go ahead and do it just to show you. And this is the command that you'll want to use. Okay, and then any changes you had would take effect after you've done that. So the next step, if you're following along on the DigitalOcean instructions, is actually to test the login for your new user. We've tested it several times. It won't work. So we're just going to skip to the next step, and I'll fix this later on. And what we're going to do now is set up a basic firewall. So first we can check to see what's going on right now with our firewalls. So we have OpenSSH running, or that's available. We want to allow this. So we're going to type in UFW allow OpenSSH. We obviously need this to work or we can't log in. All right, so we've allowed that. The rules are updated. Now we need to enable our firewall. So really simple, UFW enable. Okay. So now our firewall command may disrupt existing connections. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. It always says that, but I've never actually had a connection disrupted. Now we want to check to make sure it's running, so we can just type UFW status. And it'll show we do have our firewall running, but we have our OpenSSH and the v6 for the IPv6 allowed. Okay, so that lets us log in. Later on, not today, but maybe tomorrow's tutorial, we'll add to this list. But for now, this is all we need. And that takes us to the end of the first guide. We've set up Ubuntu. Next step is to set up Nginx. That's going to be our reverse proxy at some point, and we'll go over that probably tomorrow, because I don't want to keep going without having this user account working. I need to figure out why that's not working. So now what I'm going to do is, since the half hour is up, I'm going to take just maybe a few more minutes. I'm going to check out the live chat and see if I can answer any of your questions. Somebody said now try logging in. I guess we could, yeah. I mean, it couldn't hurt. Let's go back over here. Let's go to log in. Still denied. I'm thinking I might have done something really dumb, like put in a space somewhere in either the key file or when I added the user, and that's what's messing me up. Because in terms of the steps we took, if you were following along, we hit all the steps. The only thing we skipped was actually creating the key, which we didn't need to do since we already had one created. So the only other thing I could think of is it's possible I accidentally copied the wrong key. I don't want to go through that again. That I don't think that would be a good use of your time for watching this, to just watch me try to copy something again. So I'll do that after the video. And for now, let me try to answer some of your questions. And also, if anybody kind of shouted out where they're from, I'll read that out too. So we have somebody from the Philippines. Okay, somebody asked for a page that shows setup of React from scratch. Links in an overall page, please. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I set everything up from scratch already in the live stream. It could be possible to go back a few live streams and see that. As I said, I think in the beginning, I really do want to do some very focused short tutorials on each one of these steps that I kind of do in my live stream, but we go through kind of quickly. So those are coming, probably not until sometime in June. Somebody recommended Tyler McGinnis for his React courses. Says that they're for beginners and they're free. That's cool. If I get a chance, I might check that out too. Thank you for the advice. Okay, somebody said you created the user but not put in any key. I actually put in the key, but I put it in on my other monitor. But I'm gonna put it in again just to make sure I did everything right and I put in the right key. After this video, I may just start completely from the beginning. Someone said they're scared of using the commands, still stuck in the old school FTP. Once you get used to the commands, you get more comfortable with it, especially when, I first set up the server. There's really nothing on it. If I completely messed this server up, I would just shut down the droplet and start again. And in fact, if I can't figure out what I did to mess up this user account, I probably will just shut down the droplet and start again. Hopefully I don't have to do that, but that's kind of the best time. Play with some of these commands on a fresh server or even on your local machine if you can, and just get used to them there. Don't try them out for the first time on a really important live project, but Once you get used to them, they're nice. And once again, these aren't off the top of my head. I'm following the instructions because I don't trust my memory for this, for these type of things, for the initial setup. I don't trust it to memory. Oh, cool. Somebody from Phoenix, Arizona says first time they get to watch the live stream, they've been watching the replays. So cool. Yeah, maybe the different time worked out better for some people. Someone from Nepal is watching. Awesome. Someone says it's the first time they're watching a server setup. Well, that's cool. I wish it would have went a little bit better. Does the SSH key generated on the local machine work on the remote server? Well, yeah, that's so basically the way it works is you generate the key on your local machine. On your local machine then gets saved your private key and your public key. What you want the server to have is the public key. So then that public key gets matched up with your private key. But basically, you never send your private key anywhere. That only stays on your local machine. And then that's how the keys are matched up. So you can see it's a pretty secure setup. I mean, someone would basically have to actually be on your machine to be able to get in, through that way. Okay, somebody suggested using a virtual machine to play around with. Even if you break it, you can reset it. That is great advice. Yeah, and then you don't even have to spend any money on a droplet or anything. Virtual machine, you just set up for free. What he said. Okay, somebody mentioned, I can't see your terminal too well, but check that you copied the entire contents of your public key. So that's what I'm kind of thinking that might be the problem. Maybe I didn't get everything copied. Maybe I was just trying to do it too quickly, didn't get it all copied. Now that I think about that, that's probably the most likely solution. All right, someone says, I love the designing and developing rather than setup. Yeah, setup it's something that you have to do if you don't have anybody else working on it. I actually had somebody else set up the other server that'll host the WordPress site, so they set that up for me, which was awesome. I just kind of wanted to do this on camera instead of have somebody else do it so that you guys could see it in case you've never seen it before. And then we'll get back to the designing and developing stuff after we get this set up. Okay, someone suggested the Ubuntu forums topic, permission denied, public key error. I'll check that out. I'm going to try to copy the key over one more time. If that doesn't work, I'm definitely going to check that out on the forums. Someone says subscribe to me. So Monster Miner MC says subscribe to me. That's not an endorsement. I'm just reading it out. I don't really know what their channel is about. I guess Minecraft. No, okay. Someone asked, we're not done with Next and React, are we? No, we're definitely not done. We've just gotten to the point where I need to set up the server where this will eventually be housed when it's live. I need to set it up, put something on there, test it out, get the domain pointed, at least a test domain. So, because if we're going to launch this next Thursday, I like to have all this set up well in advance in case, well, something like this happens and I mess it up. So I don't want to put that off until the last minute. Somebody else said check the pub key file contents. I'm pretty sure that is the problem. Someone's from Nepal, someone from India, Argentina, Holland, Brazil, Poland, Thailand, another one from Brazil. All right. I love it that you guys are, from all over the place. From Jersey, in the United Kingdom, Channel Islands. That's cool. I'm in the United States, and when someone says Jersey in the United States, I always think of the state, New Jersey, and forgetting that it's called New Jersey because there was an original Jersey in the UK. Oh, someone says the GitHub student pack was denied. Oh, man. Yeah, check. How did I get it? Microsoft has some sort of developer program that's free. I got a pretty good code from that one. So check that one out. I forget what it's called for sure, but if you type in something like Microsoft Developer Program, if you type that into Google, then I'm sure it'll come up. Someone, Raphael Bellini, has put his email in here in case anybody wants him for a freelance job. Once again, that's not an endorsement. I've never seen his work before, but he's put it on there. Someone asked if there's any way I can practice locally or free online. Yeah, locally, I mean, you can practice some terminal commands locally on your machine. In terms of server setup, you probably will need to run like a virtual server. If you install Docker, you can do some of this in Docker. So you'll need some tutorials to get used to Docker first, but I would check that out. And then, you can just do whatever you want on the server. If you mess it up, no big deal, because it's just a virtual server anyway. We have someone from Saudi Arabia, Belarus. Let's see. Someone mentions VirtualBox to do the virtual server, so you can do server virtual machine. So good, all good suggestions. Someone says, it's my first time watching live in your video channel. Awesome. Yeah, maybe it's not such a bad thing that I had to do this at a different time of day, and now some different people get to watch it live when maybe they couldn't otherwise. What if my hard drive dies and I lose my SSH keys? Will I be able to log in? DigitalOcean does have a way to log in. So, I wonder if I closed my screen with DigitalOcean. I think I did. No, I have it here. I'll show you real quick. Let me see. I can't remember where it is. There is somewhere. Sorry, guys. I wanted to show you, but now that I look, I can't remember where it is because I've never had to use it. There is somewhere on this admin panel for DigitalOcean. There is a spot where you can reset the root password. Okay, you got Brian Sizemore said. Brian Sizemore is the guy that set up my WordPress server. He's a colleague of mine here, so. He said you can reset your root password in DigitalOcean, and you can actually use a terminal right there in the browser from your DigitalOcean panel. So you can still get in that way. Somebody asked if this will be saved at the channel later. It will. About 5 minutes after I stop broadcasting, it should be saved as a video, so you can watch the whole thing or pause or whatever you need to if I went too fast. Cheeseburger says, Jesse, we have to cook. So I'm not sure about that. Actually, I do really like to cook. I post pictures of my food on Instagram from time to time. So if you like to see pictures of food, you can check out my Instagram. But I don't think I'll be doing any cooking shows anytime soon. So we have somebody from New York City. Oh, also, Brian Sizemore recommends C9.io, so it's Cloud9. I forgot about that. Yeah, that'll give you like a cloud development environment where there's a server set up so you can test those commands as well. Windows Linux subsystem is easy to set up. All right, so we have a lot of great suggestions if you want to test out your skills with the command line in an environment like a live server. All right, and I got to the end of the live chat. If you wanted to ask something you didn't get a chance to, or you just didn't want to ask it in front of everybody, you can either direct message me on Twitter, or if you don't care if everybody sees your question, just put it in the comments below this video. If you want to see how we got to this point, check out my previous videos, either on FreeCodeCamp or on my own channel. There's a link in the description. I will see you tomorrow at the same time we did today, so 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.